Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The world news at 12 begins on the foreign scene, where President-elect Donald Trump will quickly implement executive actions on immigration, energy policy and federal government operations to check off dozens of campaign policy priorities. Trump on Sunday pledged to issue close to 100 executive orders on his first day in office. Many of these orders will be designed to reverse or eliminate ones implemented by the Biden administration. Stephen Miller, who's Trump's incoming Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, previewed some of these actions on Sunday afternoon on a call with senior congressional Republicans. Donald Trump is being inaugurated today as the 47th President of the United States after winning the November elections over Democratic candidate Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's take a listen to Donald Trump speaking on the executive orders he would be signing when he comes into office today.
Inheriting a nation faced with crises at home and abroad, but I will describe in my inaugural address tomorrow. Can you believe it? Tomorrow. It's been a long 4 years. Nasty. It's been a nasty 4 years. My administration will take immediate and decisive action to confront every single problem America faces and put our nation back on the path to success and greatness. Within hours of taking office, I will sign dozens of executive orders, close to 100 to be exact. Tomorrow we will end 4 years of failure, disaster, and decline. And we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around quick, and we're going to do things that nobody thought even were possible.
Meanwhile, about 12 hours after going dark in the United States, TikTok was running again on Sunday after President-elect Donald Trump vowed earlier during the day to postpone the ban from taking effect. In a statement posted on the social media platform X on Saturday night, the short video sharing app announced that it had reached an agreement with its internet service providers and was in the process of restoring service. TikTok thanked Trump for providing necessary clarity and assurance to service providers that they will face no penalties providing TikTok to over 170 million Americans. The company also said it will work with Trump to find a long-term solution that would ensure the app's normal operation in the United States. Earlier on Saturday, hours before a federal ban was set to take effect, TikTok temporarily shut down its U.S. services. After 15 months of war that began with a brutal attack on Israel by Hamas and ended with much of the Gaza Strip leveled by Israel, a ceasefire came into effect on Sunday that saw 3 women hostages released from Gaza and 90 Palestinians freed from Israeli jails in return. For 2 tense hours on Sunday morning, the ceasefire looked as though it might falter. Hamas failed to provide the names of the 3 sent by Hamas to Israel via an intermediary, and Israeli military action in Gaza ceased for the first time since a brief week-long ceasefire and hostage exchange back in November 2023. The release is the first of several due to take place over the next 6 weeks, until a total of 33 hostages have been returned and about 1,900 Palestinians have been freed in exchange. 97 hostages are still in captivity according to Israeli authorities, although dozens of those are presumed dead. Its officers during a raid in Anambra State promising to bring the perpetrators to book. Over the weekend, the death of the EFCC officer gained social media after the news broke about the incident. Days after that, the EFCC confirmed the raid in Anambra and the death of one of its officers during the incident. Following the officer's demise, many Nigerians took to social media condemning the agency for what some of them said was an illegal raid carried out at night. But the commission faulted the claims, saying it viewed with great concern what it called irresponsible, callous, inhuman and outrageous narratives being circulated on social media on the whys and wherefores of the fatal incident. It warned that every subsequent attack on any of its officers will be met with the force of the law, noting that it is unrelenting. Defense headquarters announced today that the troops from Operation Fansanyama successfully killed the son of terrorist leader Bello Turji and several of his fighters during a major clearance operation. The operation, which took place on January 17, targeted key areas including Shinkafi, Kagara, Fakai, Moriki, Maiwa, and Chindo. VP News gathered that the troops also destroyed a logistics base used by the terrorists. In a statement from the Director of Media Operations, Major General Edward Buhari revealed that Turji's son was killed in an attack on the Fakai high ground where the terrorists had set up camp. Turji himself was branded a coward for fleeing the area and abandoning both his son and his fighters during the battle. The defense headquarters highlighted that Turji had long taunted the military, even challenging them in December 2024 to confront him at his hideout after his associate Bakawergi was captured by troops. The military has vowed to neutralize him in 2025. In addition to killing several terrorists, the operation also led to the rescue of numerous hostages who had been kidnapped by Turji's group. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has frowned on the recent hike in the pump prices of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, describing it as the highest of insensitivity against the masses. Senior NLC officials disclosed this in separate interviews as oil marketers refuted being blamed for the recent hike in PMS prices nationwide. Similarly, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery also said the rise in petrol price was not from the Lekki-based plant, but due to an increase in the cost of crude oil, the major component for refined petroleum products. You will recall that on Friday, the pump prices of petrol rose to between 1,050 naira and 1,150 naira per litre, following the hike in the cost of the commodity by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and various depot owners. Dealers confirmed that PMS prices will continue to rise since the major component in fuel production, crude oil, has been on the upward swing lately. The Association of Local Government organ yesterday revealed that the 774 local governments are to open dedicated accounts with the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) for the direct disbursement of allocations to them from the Federation account. The organ national president Bello Lawal Yandaki said the opening of the account is critical to the implementation of the Supreme Court ruling on direct allocations to the councils. He explained that the Apex Bank is waiting for the federal government's directive on the opening of the account. Also, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit (NFIU) is to monitor the utilization of the funds by the chairman in conformity with the principles of transparency, accountability, and good governance. According to a source, the federal government has constituted a team of anti-corruption agents drawn from the Independent Corrupt Practice and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to prosecute the council chairman and other officials who indulge in corrupt practices. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll now go into the news analysis segment, and joining me to discuss issues on the World News this afternoon, I have Mr. Chukuma Okoro. He's an international, political, social, and national affairs analyst. Welcome to the World News at 12, and thank you for joining me. Happy New Week.
Gemma, happy new week.
All right, so
and good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you as well. Let's begin on the international scene. It's January 20, a day that Donald Trump and many of his supporters have been waiting for. He will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States today, and that's after winning November elections against Democratic candidate Kamala Harris. And he's vowed to hit the ground running, much like Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu did on the day of his inauguration with the announcement that subsidy is over. Trump is saying he will sign close to 100 executive orders on his first day in office. That's not all. He has also vowed to clamp down on woke ideologies and immigration. He promised to stop what he called transgender insanity and critical race theory from schools and to remove trans people from women's sports. How do you think that stakeholders whom these issues concern would react?
Okay, Chama, in response to what he said, Trump happens to be a man of history. He's not just the 45th, but the 47th president of the United States of America. And Trump himself is expectant. And I like what is happening around Trump. Trump said in the opening speech, he said that he's going to, DC, to be sworn in office and sworn into office. And within that he's going to reverse the 4 years of mistakes, the 4 years of failure, the 4 years of whatever went wrong, with the Biden administration.
He said they entrenched the foolish policies that they made.
Exactly. And so you see that from day one, he has started the politics of, trying to demystify whatever.
We could even say from day zero, because he's been talking and then he was saying tomorrow. That was when he was talking to his supporters yesterday.
But I'm talking about from day one, and he said he's going to push out a lot of executive orders.
He's promised to end the war in Ukraine, stop the chaos in the Middle East.
Some of the executive orders is going to undo, part of what the Biden administration did. And it's instructive when you say that Trump is going to hit the ground running. I'm not sure he's running. I think he's sprinting. I think to sprint, our own president said that he was going to hit the ground running. On the first day, he removed fuel subsidy. Let's move away from that. But it took our president, how many, I think a day short of the deadline for him to appoint a cabinet. Now, we understand that Trump's secretaries designate have been undergoing screening, by the House of Representatives and the Senate and all of that, confirmation hearing. So that is when you say somebody has hit the ground running. He's bringing in people, a team that will help him make America great again, like his campaign mantra, MAGA, make America great again. And if you look at what is happening in the Middle East, Israel-Hamas war, people say that Biden was quick, to hurriedly put together an Israeli-Hamas ceasefire, And you know what Trump said? Trump said, well, it is beautiful that the ceasefire is happening. Even before we get into office, our election results are beginning to show in American politics, practically taking claim of that historic ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. So we are going to see more of that, during the Trump presidency. There's an area that you didn't touch, which I'd like to talk. What does that portend for Nigeria? I said on the morning show on TV, that, look, people are expecting a lot from Trump for Nigeria. But the American president is essentially the one that drives the American foreign policy. And they always encapsulate it in their doctrines, like you hear Obama doctrine, Bush doctrine, Clinton doctrine, and all of that. So you're going to largely see Trump's Africa's policy. So what that does is that he is going to explore opportunities, potentials. He will do a SWOT analysis of what value Africa holds for him. So Nigeria is going to come under that purview. So when people think that, look, because Trump has become president, Boko Haram is going to be decimated, Lakowas will be chased away, kidnapping will stop, I tell them it will not happen. What America will do under Trump is to ensure some form of stability so that their interest in southern part of Nigeria will be protected. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about their oil interest. American oil companies that are operating in Nigeria, Chevron, Mobil, and all of that, that will be their main concern. If you people, and look, Serap is asking Trump to help ban officers from coming to America. If they don't go to America, they'll go to Europe. It is to Trump's benefit, it is to the benefit of the American government that those monies remain in Europe. So the call is on our own leadership to ensure that they pursue these monies to the farthest end of the earth, whether they are in America, in Europe, Switzerland, Virgin brought back. If you don't make any desperate effort, those countries will just keep quiet and just mount the issue of accountability and transparency and all of that. So people should not expect Africa and Nigeria is clearly not priority to America. Trump has a lot in his hands. He's going to battle with China. He's going to battle with Middle East. He's going to battle with Putin. He's going to battle with BRICS and all of that. So Nigerians should not expect that, since Trump has become president, that all is well with America. So all is well with Nigeria. It is not going to happen. Nigeria will get as much as Africa gets, and that's all.
Nigeria will get as much as Africa gets. So anyone who is expecting Trump to pay too much attention to Nigeria is wasting his time.
So when Trump comes into office, that he's going to stop. I tell them, during the government of Muhammadu Buhari, that was Trump 01. They were contemporaneous. They happened at the same time. What happened? Nothing happened.
Mr. Okoro, let's come back to the home front and talk about our own issues, because we do have a pressing issue of America concerns.
We always do. Even America has to.
All right. The latest in the tragedy Nigerians have to discuss is the killing of an EFCC officer while on raid in Anambra State. The EFCC has released a statement, and in that statement, they confirmed the death of one of its officers during a raid in Anambra State, promising to bring the perpetrator to book. When you look at it, the perpetrator is already being grilled by the EFCC and indeed the Nigerian police on why he had to shoot an EFCC officer who came to raid his house at 3 a.m. in the morning. The person contends that he was acting in self-defense because he called out and asked, "Who are you? Who is there?" And no one responded, and then he had to shoot when they kept trying to break down his door. I want to talk about the EFCC's reaction to this. Due to the spate of raids, midnight raids that EFCC officers were always going on, right? EFCC chairman came up and said midnight raids are banned and no officers should be engaging in that. The same EFCC has come out to actually tell Nigerians in a statement that these officers, they were acting within the ambit of the law and that they went there with warrants and they were right to be going there. So on one hand, you're telling us that no officer should be going on raid in the midnight. On the other hand, you're telling us that these officers who went on a raid in the midnight, like you said they should not do, were actually acting in the way that they should act. So how exactly should Nigerians interpret what the EFCC is saying?
All right, Choma, first of all, it's unfortunate that the young man had to lose his life, you know, on the line of duty. And the line of duty, I think I put inverted commas on that line of duty, because you have just said something that is clear to everybody. In one breath, EFCC is saying, look, midnight raids are forbidden. And in another, you are defending the very man that went on a midnight raid. Choma, what that tells you, circumstantially, you know, that raid was not authorized. EFCC is trying to cover up.
Why would EFCC want to cover up for officers who are not acting in the way that they should be acting?
Yes,
except if they were they sent from the top?
No, but,
because the EFCC said from the office that they knew that they were going there. Why would they want to cover up for the officers who have
so how will you now juxtapose that with the fact that the same EFCC said like midnight raids are forbidden? Choma, growing up as a young man in my university days, I used to know, I don't know how much that has changed, that look, even to arrest a person, the police, to carry out an arrest, that it stops within a certain time, whether it was 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening, and then resumes by 6 o'clock in the morning. Even bailiffs, court bailiffs are authorized by law or are not authorized by law to serve bailiffs within a specified period of time. So for these guys, Choma, we have seen where EFCC went to arrest people, you know, on unholy hours, and there were shootouts and all of those. I have somewhere in Onitsha too, where the EFCC went on a raid at midnight, and they were just lucky to escape. Why will you go for a raid at midnight if you have intelligence? Why will you do that at night? Now the young man has lost his life in the crossfires, unfortunately for him. But that also tells you how corruption fights back. Now, it is within the purview of the law now to determine whether that man committed murder or manslaughter. Because according to him, in his response, he was acting in self-defense. Choma, for Christ's sake, why would an EFCC go on a raid at night, 3 a.m.? Why? Why will you do that? You could lay siege on the guy's house. If he comes out 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, you apprehend him. Not by 3 a.m. It clearly tells me, look, that thing was more like a private sting operation, that it was not authorized. So EFCC is saying, for EFCC to come to say that it was authorized, they have something to hide. They have been quite uneconomical with it. They have been economical with the truth. Now, let me tell you something that happened in Sokoto. 2 EFCC guys were involved in an altercation. What was the cause? What was the cause of the matter? That a certain suspect had been apprehended, and they needed to warehouse or to keep the car or the item they seized from him. Instead of taking it to EFCC office, they were now in contestation of who will keep those things in his house. And in the process, one of them was killed. What does that tell you about EFCC? It tells you that all is not well. Their modus operandi is questionable from what has exactly happened in Onitsha. And I hope that young man will have justice at the end of the day. I mean, the one that tried to defend himself. Yes, it was in self-defense, if you ask me.
All right. Even if it was in self-defense,
Choma, the EFCC, who is that and nobody responded?
The EFCC they're calling him a suspected internet fraudster, and so, that was the reason why they even went on that night raid on that night.
How many governors? How many suspected governors who stole money have they gone to arrest at night? We'll
get to that, Mr. Chukuma Okoro. What I want to point out is this profiling of suspected internet fraudster. This is suspected.
You don't even have evidence.
You've not done all of your investigations to determine that that's what this person is. I want to take your mind back to when some students were arrested. Their names were published online as suspected internet fraudsters. They were paraded. Many of them, their names are still there. We could Google some people's name and it will come out, and the first thing you will see is a suspected internet fraudster. The EFCC goes on to back up their claim by saying this person has about 2 laptops and an iPad in his house, and they can see that he's into coding. Are these the things that constitute internet fraud in Nigeria? The fact that one is learning coding, that one is trying to learn how to be a software engineer? Because also, they're saying, oh, they saw some luxury cars in the compound. Are all Nigerians supposed to be indigent? Are we supposed to be poverty-stricken? Are there no more hardworking Nigerians running legitimate businesses who can actually buy luxury things if they can afford them?
Chama, what it clearly tells you is that EFCC has lost focus on their core mandate. I mean, every young man that carries a laptop in the streets of Lagos, streets of Abuja, streets of Kaduna is an internet fraudster. Should that be? You put out people's name. You have not even convicted them. You say suspected. What is that supposed to mean? And I asked the question. You said we're going to come to that. I don't know when. We have people that are sitting in the Senate, former governors, former ministers, who are undergoing investigations on charges of corruption. People that are accused of having corruptly enriched themselves. How many times has EFCC go? Okay, I think they went to Rochas Okrocha's house and removed the roof to his house and jumped in.
Yes, and he was making a video then, and this was someone who was even who one could call a political elite. But when you look at others like Yaya Bello and the likes and others, because this is an anti-corruption agency which is meant to fight financial crime. Yes, fraud is financial crime, but then there are always processes to investigation, and then before you move in to attack a suspected criminal, you must have showed this person, you must have evidence that what this person is doing, this person is doing something that constitutes a crime before you move in without a warrant.
One thing that is curious, one thing that beats me is that they didn't say that this man was a drug lord. They didn't say that he was a criminal or that he was gone running or that he's an armed robber, that he was a suspected internet fraudster. So why go to arrest him by 3 a.m.? Why? That is the question. Why 3 a.m.? Why couldn't you wait? By 5 o'clock, you surreptitiously go into his gate and all of that and wait for him. If he comes out by 6:30, you apprehend him. By 6 o'clock, you knock on his gate. He will see your face. He will see your badge, EFCC. Why go by 3 a.m.? So it is suspect. That operation was not authorized, if you ask me.
We've seen several videos from CCTV and other cameras where EFCC officials or people wearing the EFCC vest go into people's houses and attack them, beat them up, try to intimidate them in a bid to arrest them for this same suspected internet fraud. Isn't it time for us to start to beam the satellite, the beacon of light on how the EFCC operates? Because this shouldn't be happening. If you've banned sting operations, it should not be happening. Even if it is in the daytime, there are ways you should treat people, even if these people are suspected criminals.
So I think that's exactly what you and I are doing. We are profiling it. We are discussing it. We are trying to interrogate their modus operandi. And don't forget what happened to Pidom. In his hotel room in Calabar, or is it in Port Harcourt or Calabar? They pulled down his hotel door and went in. We have also seen, there are videos that circulated sometime last year about a certain EFCC team that bumped into a couple. You know, there was even one that trended like late last year about a certain man that said, look, EFCC bumped into my room, you know, and they almost made my wife naked. Why would you do that? What happens to procedure? What happened to courtesy and all of that? So most times these people overreach themselves. And I keep going back to the issue of what happened to high wire corruption cases. How have they dealt with those cases? So the only thing is that they have soft targets. Yahoo boys. You have a laptop. Choma, you and I know that sometimes they accost young men. There's a young man that came back from UK. They extracted £2,000 from him. Why? That he looked like a Yahoo boy. And the guy was lost. They said they threatened him that they were going to kill him. And they fleeced £2,000 from him. It took the effort of the owner of the hotel where the young man lodged to recover that money. Because the man had connections with the police. And he said, look, this money had to be recovered from the very police that stole that money. So it tells you that, look, between the DSS, EFCC, the police, and all the security agencies, they have a way of overreaching themselves. They cross the lines of engagement. APC has not even seen somebody that crossed the line. They said Obi is crossing the line. Now, DSS, EFCC, police, military, most times they cross the line and nothing happens to them.
This man in that we're talking about right now, who shot the EFCC officer, says that what he had was a licensed firearm. But the IGP actually made it known since 2023, August 2023, that there's no longer issuance of gun license in Nigeria. It was stopped temporarily, and I do not think it has been resumed recently. Right, and then when you go to the Nigeria Firearms Act of, I think, is 1959, you can actually see that there is a part which tells you the kind of firearms, prohibited firearms that should not be owned by people personally. Right, you also have the part, I think, this part 2, section 4 talks about personal firearms, saying no one shall have in his possession or in under his control any firearm of any category specified that should not be used personally if this person is not a security officer. Now, this is not someone who's a security officer. He says he's a medical doctor. The EFCC has said he's doing something else on the side. Would you say that this person owns this firearm due to the spate of insecurity in the east? Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and other states in the southeast have been hotbed of insecurity recently.
Choma, 2 questions now. The AIGP said he stopped issuing licenses when? Sometime
2023.
2023. Did it cancel the licenses of previous approvals? Did it? No, what I mean is that if your license predated the time that he cancellation, does it invalidate it? Were you supposed to have turned in that arm, that rifle or whatever to the police or to security agencies? I'm not aware. That is like 1. 2. Now, have the police come out to say this is the type of firearm that was used to kill the EFCC operative? So if you're able to answer these questions, you can now interrogate the issues that you raised around it. If you say you are not issuing licenses, well, maybe the guy got his own license before that. If you say he's a medical doctor and he's doing runs by the side, he's moonlighting, by doing Yahoo Boy or one other thing, did you find out? Choma, the question is, why must you go to his house by 3 a.m. in the morning? That is an unholy hour. That is an unholy hour. So until EFCC comes out to explain why they went to the guy's house by 3 a.m., there will always be questions around that time. Why did they go to that time, to his house at that particular point in time?
All right, Mr. Okoro, same question that many Nigerians have been asking, but because of our time, let's quickly talk about one more issue in the news before you go. The 774 local government areas in Nigeria are to open dedicated accounts with the CBN for direct disbursement of federal government allocations from the Federation account. Now, this was made known by Algon President. We said that the Apex Bank is waiting for federal government's directive on the opening of the account. Also, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit will monitor the utilization of the funds, and the EFCC and ICPC have come together. The federal government has constituted a team of anti-corruption agents from ICPC and EFCC to ensure that any corrupt local government official who mismanages these funds will be brought to book. Doesn't this still speak to federal government involvement, or would I say interference in the affairs of the local government, who are supposed to still be autonomous? Because the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit is a federal agency now, actually to investigate issues or to check the spending of local government. Will local government still be autonomous? Will they still be independent with these kind of
talking about
involvement?
NFIU being a federal agency, EFCC is a federal agency too. They are investigating local government chairmen. They are investigating state governors. Remove that one. Now, 2, I like what the federal government is doing. The federal government is pushing local government autonomy, but are they doing it the right way? Look, if you ask me, Choma, the best way to ensure local government autonomy is to make sure that we elect credible governors. Let me tell you what will happen. The local government, 774 of them, NFIU, DSS, or EFCC, how many staff do they have to monitor activities of 774 local governments? That is another thing. Then, let me tell you what will happen. The local government councils will go to CBN. When the approval is made to open accounts, they will go and open all those accounts. Chairman, it is the governor now. Before you become local government chairman, is it not the same? Is it not the same party with the chairman, with the governor? The governor gives you a ticket, ensures that you win the election. Now, Choma, when you open the account, you sign. When the money comes, the governor tells you what to bring. You return it. Out of the 774, Choma, you will not have up to 50 of them that will say, look, this money belongs to the local government. And it must be used for the local government. They will simply return the money to the governors. That is it. Let's not pretend.
So
that
whether
is what
opening of accounts or not, it does not ensure that those monies will be channeled for local government development.
Is there any difference between that and JAAC? There's no difference. They will simply write, see, you take your own and give the governor his own. It's an SPV, special purpose vehicle, for governors. Choma, the last time I checked, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria gives the State House of Assembly powers to make laws for the good governance and administration of local government. The State House of Assembly are under the terms of the governors. That is it. So they will simply find a way around it to circumvent. So rather than wasting their time opening an account, opening JAC, opening with central bank, what the presidency should do is to find a way to ensure that, in fact, Nigerians should find a way to elect responsible people as governors. Governors that will allow some kind of leverage, give some kind of leverage and leeway to local council chairmen, to ensure that they utilize the money as appropriately designated. And Choma, let me tell you, the moment Nigerians begin to elect their own local government chairman, not the ones that governors say elect, that is the only time we can witness a change. But for the charades that goes on now, where a state wins, there are 27 local governments, there are 30 local governments in a state, and all of them go to one and same party. Forget it, nothing will change. And in politics, the more things seem to change, the more they look the same.
They remain the same. As much as I want to continue the conversation, our time is fast spent and we need to go. Mr. Chukwumakoro, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, we'll take a look at the top stories again. You heard that Trump plans to sign executive orders on his first day in office. EFCC confirms clean-up officer in Anambra raid vows justice for victim. Belaturgy on the run as military closes in on terrorists, and 774 local government councils to open dedicated accounts with the CBN. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.